it is the case, especially when we're looking at information being shared through social media. So it is perfect for you to be here, and it is my true pleasure to give you some of the facts that we have been finding at UNODC headquarters in terms of the developments of the world drug problem. Now, the first key finding is that while the percentage of drug use prevalence, globally speaking, has been stable, we have actually very different developments across different regions. The global drug use prevalence rate stands at 5.5%, as it was last year, which means that in the previous year, so in the previous 12 months, on average, globally speaking, 5.5% of the adult population made use of an illicit drug or non-medical use of a prescription drug, in particular of pharmaceutical opioids, during the preceding 12 months. But there are a couple of very specific findings that are, of course, of relevance globally speaking, but also of particular relevance to Nigeria, because as you all know, the 2018 National Drug Use Survey found that in Nigeria, the drug use prevalence stands at 14.4%. That is almost 3 times the global average. Now, one of the findings that I believe is of key relevance to Nigeria is related to the issue of cannabis. Cannabis is in Nigeria, as in many other parts of the world, one of the most used drug. We have about 10.6 million cannabis users that were measured in 2018. But one of the key issues and sources of concern is the fact that cannabis over the years has become far more potent. But at the same time, especially young people feel that cannabis is less harmful than what they thought only a few years ago. So if you look at the slide in front of you, you will actually see that on the one side, the perception of the harmfulness of cannabis consumption in Europe and in United States, these are the only 2 regions that we have data for on this specific aspect, while the potency of cannabis on the right-hand side has been increasing quite dramatically. In the US, about 4 times. In Europe, it has doubled. So we have that contradiction of the perception of harmfulness actually declining, while at the same time the potency in the actual harmfulness of cannabis, in this case particularly, increasing. One thing that we observed is that the individual shipments have increased in size. So we see less micro shipments and more large-scale shipments. We saw an increase in the use of private aircrafts, and that's of course a very important intelligence information for law enforcement to make sure that also private aircrafts are thoroughly inspected, and where there is intelligence suggesting that they might have been used for the purpose of drug trafficking, there is actually search of those aircrafts in order to make sure that that doesn't remain a blind spot in our collective response to drug interdiction. We saw an increased use in waterways. Of course, overall, aircraft traffic dropped, especially commercial personnel carriers were much less flights worldwide, but the shipping continued. So quite a bit of the drug transportation moved towards the waterways.
Evidence and so forth, because it is very important. I will address sources in two places. One is the drug use survey that we conducted for Nigeria, that is the Nigerian data, and also sources for the World Drug Report. How do they get that data? For the drug use survey, which was conducted 2017-2018, we did basically 4 studies, and this was real scientific studies. Most of it what is known as epidemiology. The study was conducted by 2 organizations, the National Bureau of Statistics and my center, the Center for Research and Information on Substance Abuse, CRISA. So we were the ones who conducted the study. The NBS carried out what is known as the household survey, where they scientifically select households in the country and scientifically select a respondent within the household. So that was done by the National Bureau of Statistics, and you will agree with me that this is a well-established government agency that does a lot of very good work. The survey of drug users, high-risk drug users, was conducted by my center. We went all over the country and sought after drug users in their bonds and interviewed them. We have a 19-page questionnaire that we used to interview them. So that was the second part. The third was a survey of key informants in communities, in government agencies, in different places, to know about their opinion, what they know about drug use in the communities and so forth. And finally, we did a secondary analysis of treatment facilities, where we went and collected data on people admitted for treatment over a period of 1 year. So all of this information was put together, analyzed, and which led to the report that you have seen. So it was a very painstaking, very well conducted survey. So you can trust the data from the drug use survey. About the World Drug